I am Juhi Khera from the batch of 2022, and I will be your host for this seminar. Thank you all so much for joining in. This week, we are talking to Hall of Fame alumni Natasha D'Souza from the batch of 2014 and Tanya Mukherjee from the batch of 2016 about their media journey and SCMC experiences. Natasha is currently working at Zomato as a program manager for onboarding and development. While at SCMC, she interned with TFI, Greenpeace, Low Lintas, and Percept, all of which have a special place in her professional journey so far. Tanya has 4 years of experience in the e-commerce industry. She is leading the brand marketing team at Smitten, India's largest trial and discovery platform. She is also a global shaper with the World Economic Forum and has taken up multiple socially impactful projects for the community. Join us as we talk to them and learn about their journeys beyond advertising and PR. Before we begin, a quick note to the participants. Please note down your questions in the Q&A section below, and Natasha and Tanya shall answer them towards the end of this session. All right. So before we begin, I'd like to ask you both a question. So we would like to know something about your journey at SCMC, as students to now working professionals that you are. So Natasha, why don't you go first?
Hi, thanks Juhi for the introduction, and it's a pleasure to be back at SCMC always, and of course with Tanya, so that's special. My experience at SCMC has literally been pivotal in shaping my professional career across. It pretty much turned out to be the stepping stone for everything that I did post that. I would say, and it's not probably just SCMC as well. I was actually a hostel girl, so the community aspect, networking, all of it shaped my story in a big way. And I would also say that it's almost like it's been like being in lectures and being in classes were always simulations of what were about to come. So I've sort of had the privilege to work with some of the brightest minds in India, I would say. Some of them in different companies and at different places right now. So yeah.
And what about you, Tanya?
So again, thanks for having me, Juhi. And my SCMC journey, I think, was nothing short of a transformation. And I never realized this during those 3 years. But now that I look back, I'm just grateful for all the experiences. And just a fun fact, since I'm doing this with Natasha, when I was in my first year, she was in her 3rd year. And I really looked up to her. I still look up to her. And I went on to kind of take up multiple responsibilities just like her back in my college days. So starting from hosting ad clubs to leading the HR team at Desma during our fest, to representing our batch during for a volleyball match at ITS, to landing our first jobs at Zomato. It's been extremely enriching, and I can definitely say those are the 3 most memorable years of my life.
That's great. And another similarity between the two of you is that you both topped your respective classes, and that would have felt great. So tell me, Tanya, is that similar to, getting a promotion in your professional life or landing with a big client?
So I'm not going to lie, it definitely feels great to be featured as one of the Hall of Fame students at SCMC. And the feeling is no different when you kind of crack a big deal with a client or when you get your promotion. I think when you're putting in the effort and when you see the result for yourself, it's extremely rewarding.
And what about you, Natasha?
I feel really fortunate to be able to come back to college and see my name there somewhere, to be honest. So I think I look at it with a lot of pride. There's a lot of work that's gone behind it, which makes it so special. And when it comes to, sort of drawing a parallel to work, I would say a moment like this has really given me the confidence to sort of tell myself that I can be really good at something if I put in the work. This was 3 years long, but still. So I think it was totally worth it. Yeah.
That's great to know. And you both have had a chance to work in so many positions, in so many different roles. So how have you been able to, discover your niche? What was the whole process like? We'll start with you, Natasha.
To be honest, I think the discovery process is still on for everybody. I've seen so many people who make pivots in their career as and when they sort of, find something that they love to do and they're passionate about. I think the intersection really comes through when you start to wake up being excited about showing up to work and really loving what you do. So I think the discovery process is something that you need to be really open to. You have to be a little experimental, I would say. That's what helped me. And another thing that really helps is being curious, because if not anything, you're at least going to learn, or you're going to know one thing that you don't want to do, or you don't want to pursue. So I would say being experimental is what is really going to help you find your niche. So
Yeah. And the process of elimination always comes in handy.
Absolutely.
And how about you, Tanya?
So I think one of the best experiences of the entire SCMC journey are definitely the internships and the way they are structured to steadily push you into the industry, So I remember back in the day, the first two internships that we did were in the social sector. We were in our first year, we were still figuring things out. We were still exploring all the possibilities that the industry has to offer. And slowly, when we kind of moved on to choosing our specializations in terms of communication management and mass communication, that's when we were given the opportunity to kind of choose our CSR internships and industry internships. So I think one of my best internship experiences was with the Times Foundation, where I was fortunate to work alongside the chairman of the Times Group, Srimati Indu Jain. And then I kind of went on to have my agency experience with Dentsu Aegis Network, and then a little bit of marketing experience during my time at AFAX. And I think by the time I was graduating, I think I developed a sense of things that I like and I don't like because of all these multiple experiences. And these internships really helped shape my profession and my career as to what I'm doing today.
Wow, those are some really big names on your profile there. Okay, my next question is to you, Natasha. So you have been working with Zomato for a really long time now, and you have climbed your way up to one of the leading positions. So how was your experience like?
I think it's really special because I was actually campus placed. So I was also part of the placement and student cell. So I'm a big believer of the fact that this works, right? And to be absolutely honest with you, discovering or sort of going on that journey with Zomato happened because of a lot of people around me who were very excited about the fact that we had companies who were coming to college and ready to give us an opportunity more than anything else. Being in Zomato has obviously been a fantastic experience, pretty much life changing. A lot of what followed in my life in terms of friends and family has also come from my experience here. But I would say I'm really fortunate to have worked with some of the best minds in the country. I think my journey has actually been predominantly into sales and people development the entire 7 years. But I do know that being a part of such a phenomenal story has given me, and of course being a part of SCMC gave me this phenomenal foundation, and it will always stand true to that. So I'm ecstatic to have taken this leap of faith at the time that I did, because that was more than 7 years ago. Nobody knew that things would shape up this way, and I'm really proud to be a part of the brand. So yeah,
that's nice. And my next question is to you, Tanya. So you're currently working at Smitten, which is one of India's largest premium product trial platforms. And you're also volunteering for the World Economic Forum. So how are you able to manage the two?
So again, both of these are completely different, like poles apart actually. So I've been with Smitten for over 3 years now, and every day I get to try something new and learn something new at work. So when you're working at a very fast-paced startup, you get to wear multiple hats at the same time, and you learn a lot about the tricks of the trade. On the other hand, being a part of the Global Shapers community, which is an initiative of the World Economic Forum, we are a bunch of young change makers who are driven to kind of make an impact into the society. So I think over the last 1 year, we've taken up multiple projects. I've been very closely involved in the youth mental health project. And since it's a very like completely voluntary effort, we collaborate and brainstorm during the weekends. So that's how I'm able to manage it. And when I see the kind of results and the impact we are making, I think that's the kind of satisfaction that I look for.
That is very inspiring.
Thank you.
Okay. So you both have, held senior positions at your respective companies. And how has the pandemic affected your work life? We'll start with you, Tanya.
So we've been working from home for more than 1.5 years now. And honestly, it's not been a very easy switch transitioning completely into a work from home setup. So there were multiple plugins that we had to introduce in our ways of working, starting off with daily check-ins to the way we were onboarding new joinees, to how we were brainstorming and executing all our campaigns. Everything now happens in a virtual setup. So a lot of work went behind it, but I think now we've built the entire team in a way that anyone can work from anywhere. And I think that's the future.
Absolutely. And what about you, Natasha?
Yeah, I think I resonate 100% with what Tanya said. And to be honest, being in sales and doing, sort of getting into the sales aspect of things remotely has been a completely different challenge. And I think sales as a concept or as an industry itself has seen such a major makeover in the last 1.5 years. So much of all of the, preconceived notions about how this applies as a profession and all of the investment in terms of time, effort, and being physically present, to be honest, making the switch was not easy. Yes, I absolutely agree with that, but small sort of changes to your life really help to accommodate that. For example, there are a lot of people who if work starts at 9:30, everybody wakes up at 9:15 and sort of rushes and shows up to work. But the time that you actually took to travel to work, for example, is something that you really need to reprioritize for yourself, because that was also preparing you for the day to come. So I would definitely sort of recommend starting your day exactly like if you were actually having to physically go to office. To be honest, surprisingly, productivity has actually really gone up. A lot of companies have been able to dish out products, any sort of pivotal changes that they've made into functions much faster than they were able to do before. And I think a lot of that has to do with the employee comfort. So I would, but at the same time, you can't sort of replicate a lot of what happens when you're working from home, like collaboration or team spirit or being in that room when you're brainstorming with so many people and so many different perspectives. So I definitely miss that aspect, because I'm a big advocate of community and people and learning from each other. But yes, I mean, it's here to stay, but I hope otherwise soon enough.
Okay, and those were actually some really good tips, starting your day just as you would, as if you were to go to office. I agree with that. And, in the pandemic, a lot of people, there is such a change in your working hours. And, working from home does not mean working 24/7. So how do you manage that? Tanya, why don't you go for this?
I think this is super important. especially when you're working in an e-commerce setup. The shutters of your shop don't shut, they're open 24/7. So it's very easy for you to kind of lose the balance, you know. And I think what works best for me is kind of planning my day very well in advance and prioritizing the tasks and prioritizing my time. So I've invested in a very nice planner and organizer that I feel like filling in each day, so that I just go through it every day. And by the end of my work day, I'm thankfully left with some time to indulge in some self-care or just some me time.
That's great. This is not just a problem that we face during work from home hours, but also in a normal, pre-pandemic setup, because in the digital atmosphere, in a digital agency or a marketing agency, it gets very difficult to manage your work and life.
Absolutely.
So Natasha, you talked about, this work from home model staying for a long time, and many companies are adopting to the remote work models as well. So what do you think about that, about remote working? And what do you think will be the case after the pandemic?
I think organizations are going to have to sort of reprioritize why you really need certain functions to actually show up at work. So like I said, because there are a lot of industries going through a makeover, I think in the future or in the years to come, you might see slightly smaller real estate based offices, and you will start to see more of, sort of a virtual interactive sort of model that keeps going. However, it is, like I said even before, I'm a big advocate of, sort of physically meeting your team, speaking to them, making them feel connected to what they're doing, because that the human element is absolutely irreplaceable. And I know that we spoke about work-life balance. Balance is really, in general, difficult to achieve, and we don't really know, what aspect or where we've really achieved, or when have we really achieved that balance. I would, and since everyone's talking about it, work-life integration is something that I think all of us really, really need to find peace with, because, like Tanya said, it's so difficult to, when you get an email at 9 p.m. And you know that, okay, fine, this can actually be answered tomorrow, but you are the type who wants to, finish work. You really need to ask yourself the question about, is this important, or what I'm doing personally is important. So few boundaries would really help you to sort of do that, small changes like that. And it's completely okay to be overwhelmed with the fact that, what, this virtual sort of situation is getting to me. I would say make some sort of an immediate effort with all of your safety, sort of precautions and everything taken care of, to sort of reduce the distance between whoever you're speaking to. Even if it means just showing up to office, casually going around the environment, and making yourself a little more comfortable. Work from office maybe once in a week if you're comfortable to. But like I said before, I really hope it comes back. I think a lot of other functions will see people not needing to come to the office at all. But that also has, its own effects a little later. So yeah, I think that's what I feel about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so as a second year student, we have our internships coming up, even for the first year students as well. And the third year students are now getting placed at their, jobs, for the first job ever. So do you have any tips for them, especially to be able to adapt to this work from home culture? Tanya, we'll start with you.
Right. So I think I have just one tip. That's, don't be scared of any judgments and just speak your mind. When you are going to be stepping into an internship, or when you will probably land at your first job, the person that you'd be reporting to might have 10,000 other things on their plate. So it's extremely important for you to be proactive and ask the right questions, get to learn more about what the business is doing, how can you help, throw in some ideas, get into execution. And again, I really believe in to-do lists. So if that is something that works for you, please use it to manage your time better, plan your day. I think it's all about time management.
Absolutely. And what about you, Natasha? What do you think?
I think my first tip would be to not be intimidated by the ambiguity, because there's going to be a lot of it. And like Tanya said, you might not, you might be the last thing on your manager's mind at that moment. So, but you sort of feel this innate pressure to, sort of give your best. However, I would also say that there is absolutely zero replacement to putting in the work and investing the time. Whenever you feel, is this too much? Okay. Really sort of take a step back and see, is it really? Because these are the small steps that really, push your boundaries and make you stand out in comparison. And I would say the SCMC journey actually already prepped us for that through our internships, because the exposures were also different. Like the CSR internship taught us, like one was teaching us communication, the other one was teaching us collaboration, another was teaching execution. So by the time we had actually reached, our professional journeys, we already had a little bit of you can say, a trailer to what is about to happen. So I would say that it's completely okay to ridiculously care about your work. It's fine. It's okay to be passionate. I know that, a lot of us, when we start off, we're very concerned about sounding too enthusiastic about what we'd like to do. Don't overwhelm yourself by what you want to represent yourself as. The more true you are to what you'd like to do, the better version of yourself that actually comes through. So I would say, yeah, don't shy away from putting in the work. There is absolutely no replacement to hard work. And somewhere be able to find the time to have fun while doing it.
That was very helpful indeed. Thank you for that. Okay, now, so you were, able to make your mark in the Hall of Fame of SCMC. So what advice would you give to the current students to make the most out of their college life, but also graduate with flying colors?
Sorry, is that for me?
Tanya?
Oh,
okay.
Okay, cool. I'll go first. I would say take initiative to kind of build deep relationships that will last you for a lifetime. And I know this sounds very difficult, but try to squeeze in as much fun into your routine as possible. And lastly, just be consistent with the classes, with the assignments, projects, with the fests, with the club activities, and literally everything that's going on in college. I think that's exactly how you're going to get that wholesome experience.
Okay, and what about you, Natasha?
Very similar. I think I would say immerse yourself in literally everything possible, right? Like all the activities that you have to your disposal, especially the sort of co-curricular aspects, and anything that you can sort of pick up in terms of soft skills. Because what I love about the curriculum is that it is not a very it does prepare you for a lot more of a real setup. I think that's one of the best parts about doing a course like this. But yeah, I think that's what I have to say about this, at least.
100%. In fact, I was able to spend 8 months in the college physically. And the most amount of fun that I had was actually during the activities. And I realized that as occupied as I am in college activities, the more fun it gets.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So on a lighter note, what is your favorite SCMC memory so far? Natasha, we'll start with you.
I think I'd say this for the batch of 2014. We were one of the first batches to actually lift the ITS trophy consecutively for all 3 years that we were there. and we took a lot of pride in actually, sort of making sure that everybody knew about it. But I would say, I think the final year of ITS was really special for us, because we had the AV team doing some beautiful stuff. It was almost like a farewell to everything that we've done over the years, and the collaboration and the fun that we had, the jerseys we made. I mean, the amount of sledging that happened, it was amazing. The entire experience was fantastic. So I think that will always be a very special memory. There are so many, of course. I'm just sort of trying to encompass and remember all of the friends I've made for life within, my batch of 2014. You actually never know all of these people. Like, if you see what everybody has sort of gone on to do in their lives, you have absolutely no idea that you're actually sitting next to somebody who is on the brink of starting something phenomenal. And whatever they do, you're always going to know one more person to sort of, these people are going to have your back irrespective, but you have to keep in touch with them. So yeah, I would say ITS is definitely one of my favorite memories.
That feels so nice to hear, and I agree with the friendship part, because it does feel like the friends we make here are truly there to stay forever, as long as we keep in touch with them. Okay, and what about you, Tanya?
I think there are way too many memories, and I think it'll just be unfair to just pick one. But I just remember very vividly what Natasha is also talking about. It was historic. The batch of 2014 kind of picking the trophy. But yeah, I think every field trip, every study tour, being on the sets of KBC, eagerly waiting for DESMA to happen every year, that 1 week of madness during our exams at the end of each semester, just chilling on the activity lounge. I think, and obviously the bunch of friends that I've made, these are all like memories to cherish for a lifetime.
Listening to you both, I've realized that college really hasn't changed much since then to now, because I have the exact same set of memories, be it ITS or the activity lounge, which is unfortunately no longer there. But absolutely, and in fact, the KBC trip as well. So nothing has changed really. So for the students who are aspiring to join SCMC, what should they look forward to in the whole 3 years of their life? Natasha?
I think I would really say to come here with an open mind. Like I said before, be experimental, try to literally take as much as you can of the entire experience, because there's lots to offer. And the best part about it is that people come from different walks of life. They've always pursued, have very different stories, and then these sort of come together and form something phenomenal, right? So yeah, I would say keep an open mind, but at the same time, don't treat the academic aspect of this lightly, because the curriculum is tailor-made to what to expect outside. This is very different from sort of learning a kind of math you might not use later. You are learning concepts that you can apply, right? So I think these are the two I would say, and just be open to having a lot of fun, for sure.
And what about you, Tanya?
I think Natasha just said it all. I think it's a very wholesome experience, and when you come out of it, you will definitely be a professional. Like, you wouldn't realize the little things that are happening during those 3 years. Just be ready to again meet a bunch of talented people from different spheres of life. I think even my batch, the batch of 2016, incredible set of people, extremely talented, and I think I've learned something from each one of them. I think it just expands your thought process, meeting so many people coming in from different diverse backgrounds. And apart from that, I think the entire course and the curriculum is just beautifully structured. I think you get a great understanding of a little bit of everything. things that at that point in time you may feel you may not need. But later in life, you're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I did that editing course, or I just happen to know Photoshop, so I don't have to depend on anybody, I think it's a perfect match, mix and match of like theory and practical application of things, with a few internships here and there and a few projects that you have to do. So I think when you step out of the institution, uh, you definitely have an edge above the other media graduates in the country. Definitely. Yeah.
This is something that I've heard from a lot of alumni, that the college does prepare you for the best.
It does. Yeah.
And that was a really interesting conversation that I had with the both of you. And now we have a lot of questions coming from the attendees. So I will read them out to you and you can answer them. So the first question we have is, can you please share some tips for cracking the SET interview? Why don't you go first, Natasha?
Me? Oh, okay. If I have to be really frank about this, I didn't have the best interview at all. I was also in the second 100 of roll numbers. So roll number started from 600 in my batch and I was 704. So that's how I, sort of fared on the SET. I think it is important for you to it's important for you to not immediately react to what is being asked. You can take your 30 seconds, 1 minute, sort of, I would say, derive inspiration from your own life experiences, and don't get intimidated by the fact that you're going to be judged basis this one answer, because I don't think they're doing that. Because I think a lot of us wouldn't have made it to the course if it was based on that one answer. And I think the questions really sort of surprise you in a manner that also pushes your own boundaries in terms of how you'd like to sort of go about it. So yeah, I would say don't get intimidated by whatever is asked. Take a deep breath, but represent who you are. I think they aren't really assessing you for knowledge and skills as much at that time, as much as a little bit of like sort of personality as well. So it's very difficult to replicate something that you're not, so I would say be yourself and take it easy when you're doing it.
Absolutely. And what about you, Tanya?
I think it's very similar. I completely resonate with what Natasha just said. The thing is, because again, it's a media course, just again, one very, nerdy tip coming in from the Hall of Fame student. Be well aware of like the current affairs. I think it's just nice to have an upper hand of like things that are happening out there. You don't want to be blank when you're just asked something. Just do some little reading and you'll be good.
Yeah. Yes, and this college really did put me in a good habit of being aware of the current affairs and reading the paper daily, because before this I was absolutely clueless about things.
And self-study module got us all at some point.
Absolutely.
Big book of Manorama.
Oh, always.
Yeah.
Okay. The second question is, what were your third year specializations? Do you ever feel you could have chosen a different specialization after graduation? Tanya, we'll start with you.
Okay, so I specialized in advertising, and to be very honest, when I joined SCMC, I wanted to be a journalist. That's how my journey was. So I enrolled with the intention of becoming a journalist by the end of the course. But again, the way the modules were structured, I got to learn a little bit of what I was getting into. And after my first year, I kind of knew that, okay, communication management or advertising in public relations is something that would be of more interest to me. So you kind of get that kind of time and exposure when you kind of get in. So you might be thinking of something while you're entering, and by the end of it, when you get more exposure, your thinking could completely change. So I think that's what happened to me.
Okay, and what about you, Natasha?
So I specialized in advertising too. But to be honest, would I pick another specialization? No, I wouldn't, because I would actually not change anything about what happened or what transpired in those 3 years, especially in the third, because I was genuinely very sure that I wanted to sort of pursue advertising, and I did an internship with the Lowlantas as well. But there were a few aspects of it that I realized that I'm probably not ready for. And like when it comes to marketing and advertising, sales turns out to be a sort of base or a foundation between both. So it gives you a great sort of a base to start your career, kickstart your career from, which gave me the opportunity to sort of work with Zomato and then find my love for sales and training. So I would not change anything about the journey. But yes, I agree with Tanya. There's a lot of you will really organically move towards what you love doing. And the best part is that people sort of speak to each other so much and collaborate so much on projects that even if you're not like specifically a part of a specialization, there would be sort of common areas where everybody from all specializations are coming together and sort of discussing what happened in class, and we'd be blown away by some of the stuff. Like I remember we were solving case studies live in class, and I would say I remember there was one on Sephora, and I think that really changed my perspective on problem solving in itself. Right, so each and every specialization, I think you will feel drawn to it at some point in time, but no, I wouldn't change my journey there. No.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, what is more important while choosing your internship, actual work profile or the company name? We'll start with you, Tanya.
I think for me, it's always the job description first before the company. I was definitely lucky I got to work with a few big names, but if you are happy doing what you're doing, I think nothing else matters. The satisfaction that you get after a good day at work, after cracking some really good ideas and implementing them and seeing them happen, seeing them into execution, I think that's the best feeling ever. So I think when someone's also kind of getting into the internship, it's important to kind of just get an idea of what you're getting into and not make your judgment basis the brand name.
All right. And what about you, Natasha?
I agree with Tanya, but just to sort of give a balance to the other, it is actually up to you, I would say. It's completely a direction that you'd like to take. Some and a lot of batchmates, and including myself, to be honest, the internship that I did with Percept on the first week was relatively slow, and then that internship pretty much literally changed my life in some way. So I would say sometimes it's okay if you're sort of trying to pursue something. What you make of it after that is completely up to you. So I would say ask as many questions as you can and get as much work as you can, irrespective of whatever direction you choose to pursue.
All right. But building on that, does the name of the company you work for give you a certain mileage for your future? Natasha?
I would say, in fact, I think the learning aspect here would really help, because when you're sitting in an interview, the questions that are being asked, of course, I understand that, internships would be a great reflection to, but our CVs are hardly sort of encompassing everything that really went by. So I would say over there, I think it's important to really talk about everything that you did there. So yeah.
Right. And what do you think about this, Tanya?
I have a similar opinion, because again, you've been given an opportunity, you've worked with XYZ brand, you've gotten an internship. It's now completely on you what you made out of that opportunity and how much you learned out of it, and how well are you able to kind of pass it on during, say, an interview. So when you're sitting in an interview, actually people would be more interested to know what are the skill sets that you're bringing in, or what has been your experience, or what have been your learnings, more than where you were doing what you were doing. So I think that's the more important part here.
Okay. All right. The next question is, do people development and management jobs also include an equivalent of creative blocks? How do you get around it? We'll start with you, Natasha.
I think they absolutely do. I think sometimes it's also very intimidating to be in a room full of people who you know are smarter than you. You just know it. To be honest, a few interactions, especially with folks who are straight out of campus, who are sort of joining the company, it is extremely enriching to have conversations with them and sort of gain their perspective, use it to sort of derive your own. It's phenomenal in terms of the preparedness that a graduate is ready with now, and of course SCMC pushes that a little bit for you because you're so used to doing that anyway. So yes, as a creative block, for sure, what really inspires me is I'm a sort of person who takes inspiration from conversations with people. So I might sort of interact with people who are in similar roles, but I also like to do things differently, like using maybe movies or books or something that I've seen as inspiration to really make it more fun. Because to be honest, it could be something that someone told me to do, but it wouldn't be as engaging if I didn't feel extremely excited about it. So I really look for things that sort of inspire me, and I write them down, irrespective of wherever I am. I don't write them down. I use notes on my phone, and then I just sort of go back to it whenever. But yes, it's real. The creative block is real everywhere.
Okay, and do you experience the same, Tanya?
Definitely. And I think what helps me is, again, just having a very, I wouldn't say informal, but like just a setup with the team where all of us are just talking about our day, taking it light, talking about a few good things that we saw, a few things that we liked, we didn't like. We just share insights from what we are reading about, what we are watching. And that definitely kind of expands your thinking again, gives you a few ideas. And again, because we are in a market where trends are changing so fast, you have to be very agile with how you are coping with what's happening in the market. So it's very important for you to be on your feet, but at the same time, creative block is for real. Like, so, I mean, just do things that help you calm down and just be with you. I mean, whatever. I think everyone has a different mechanism to kind of deal with it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, the next question is, after landing your first job, should one stick with it or move around to find the perfect profile? Tanya?
Yeah. So I think I had a great, like my first job was with Zomato. I had a great stint, about 1.5 years, learned a lot about sales and client servicing and account management. But later, I again kind of realized that maybe there's something more that I want to explore, something into marketing or something into communications that I was again not getting to explore there. So that kind of again made me switch and look for other opportunities. And here again at Smitten, I landed as a communications manager. Multiple things happened. I went on to lead different teams and build different teams. So I think go with your gut feeling. Like if you're really enjoying what you're doing, just stick with it. And if you think your calling is something else, then just don't be afraid to make that change.
Understood. And Natasha, we'd like to hear you.
So for somebody who has been with the same brand for literally straight out of college, I think I've actually been asked this question a couple of times, and it just made me realize that as long as you're able to see yourself grow, right? And obviously people have different things or different things that drive them. Sometimes it's designations, sometimes it's money, sometimes it's recognition, network, it could be anything, right? As long as you feel that your learning curve is evolving as you go, and you are able to see a stable growth trajectory in whatever you're doing. I think again, it's really a decision for you to take, because there is no right way here. There are a lot of people who have taken taken a chance to actually try a new job and turned out to be excellent at it, and it really changed their entire professional trajectory. A lot of these folks are from my batch as well. So um, it's up to you about if I think there's a little bit of a risk appetite involved here as well. How much of it you're comfortable with, switching environments and switching when it comes to people. But as long as you're able to see yourself grow here, like literally just close your eyes and look at what you can achieve in a year to come. If you can see that, then I think it's okay to stick around.
All right. So it ultimately depends on how you feel about it and what your
Absolutely.
gut says.
Yeah.
Interesting. Since you all were a part of a lot of clubs, do you think these help in networking? Tanya, we'll start with you.
Yes, definitely. And I mean, I remember we had a very packed schedule. We would have classes from morning till almost evening. Then we would stay put. We'd stay back in college. We would think of things to do. Just, I mean, for example, DESMA or the alumni meets in Calico that we did. We would just think of the things that we can do. What should be the big idea, and how are we executing it? What are the installations we are thinking about? We had our, I mean, we made our, obviously everyone was kind of responsible for some or the other thing. And I think together we were able to kind of, one, obviously have a lot of fun, and two, execute things that you wouldn't expect students to do. I mean, and we were very happy doing those things. And at the end of the day, there were a lot of learnings, and we were just having fun along the way.
All right. And what about you, Natasha?
I think the clubs for me were really an eye opener in terms of how much you could take from it in terms of learning. So we used to, I think, even back then we had all batches together. I think that was one of the things that we used to do, especially with the ad club. I remember there was this competition. We were sort of we were playing, batches against each other, and we had famous ads, and people, batches were being scored, and it got really competitive. But what I really loved about it is that everybody was in different junctures of their journey, but came together about something, something special. But and also a really great place to get to know each other, to be honest, in a slightly more, I wouldn't say an informal setting, but a slightly easier setting than just sitting, in lectures or in the auditorium. So I think it was a little more comfortable like that. So yeah.
All right. Yes, I feel that if we got more time, this is definitely something we could have experienced. But from what we did experience, I completely relate to that as well.
Yeah.
Okay. We have an interesting question. What were some of your struggles during the journey in the industry? Natasha, we'll start with you.
Wow. There were many, like, as in it's very difficult to sort of pinpoint, but when you're starting out afresh, you're so how do I say it, you're so concerned about what people think about you that you start to sort of shape yourself versus others' expectations, and in the long run that's really detrimental to your originality, right? So I think it's really important for you to sort of internalize at a time like this, and it's completely okay to face a situation that you haven't before and say, okay, I don't know how to deal with this, and also have the confidence to ask for a solution from somebody that you would trust or someone that you're comfortable speaking to, because the struggles are definitely many, but the mindset is what is permanent, right? So irrespective of whatever the situation is, as long as you're able to sort of get yourself up and understand that this is something that you really care about, find the right person to speak to. This person could be in the setup that you're in, or externally somebody that inspires you, or someone who can give you a completely different perspective, you know. And at that time you might just go, you might just wonder, okay, fine, you're not in the situation, you may not understand, but a lot of how I've solved problems, or even at my workplace, has sort of come from derivatives of conversations with people. So out of, I think, struggles wise, I can't like sort of specifically say like this is a struggle that I went through, but I would say there were many shifts in mindset that really helped me to deal with this problem better. And the second thing is, if you go through, or if you can see, or if you witness somebody else going through exactly what you went through, especially like, for example, when you start a professional journey, you will see your peers, you'll see, folks who are joining the company, or the situation after you. It's very important to be a different version of what transpired with you. So it's important to sort of, it's okay to not sort of fit into the culture that saying that, okay, fine, this is exactly how things go. It's okay to lend a helping hand and go that extra mile and say, okay, fine, take it easy, this is what happens, but here is what really helped me. So that then you become that person, or one of the people that can really help. Because I've realized and I've had, like, everybody has low points, like serious low points. What really changed for me is whom I spoke to at that time, nothing else, because the situation wasn't going anywhere. And if I hadn't picked the right people to speak to, I would be on a completely different journey. So yeah, I would say try to identify those people as and when, and don't be too sort of concerned immediately about what people feel or think about you.
That is very helpful indeed. We'll keep that in mind. And what about you, Tanya?
So again, there have been multiple things. I mean, day in, day out, like I said, there are multiple things that I learn on the job. Like even after you're coming out of college, you would feel, okay, I've done XYZ number of modules. I'm very well prepared to kind of take on with the job, get my day started. But when you actually go there, when you're out there, there are different things that will just come up, things that you may not expect to happen. Things obviously never go according to plan. Like, again, I'm a planner, I organize things. So there are multiple times where things obviously don't go as per plan, and you need to be open to the idea of change again, and things not happening according to plan A. Keep plan B, keep plan C. Things will definitely work out. There's always a solution to whatever challenge is coming your way. If something is not working out, move on to the next thing. And I mean, don't pressurize yourself too much for or don't be so hard on yourself. I think that is something I used to do. I think I've come a long way, and that's one thing that I just want to tell everyone else.
Okay, and building on that question, what should one keep in mind when prepping for or stepping into the media industry? Tanya, we'll continue with you.
So honestly, I don't really have a lot of experience in the media industry. I mean, again, started off as sales, client servicing, and then moved on to completely marketing, digital marketing, communications. But what actually, I mean, again, just a general tip is talk again to the right people. It really helps who you're talking to. And the biggest thing is, again, like I said, don't be afraid of judgments, but at the same time, never judge people. Like, you may judge ideas, but never judge the person. So interact with people, collaborate with people. I think that's how the best sort of work kind of comes out. I mean, even in a media industry or in a marketing field, wherever you are, I think collaboration is what brings out the best in people. So just be open to that.
Absolutely. And Natasha, would you like to add something to that?
I think Tanya has pretty much covered everything, because every industry keeps evolving. I would just say Also, at the same time, parallelly, keep investing in upskilling yourself as well, because that's really important when you're sort of up for collaborations or when you're networking. And this does not, or this need not mean that you have to pursue another formal degree or course or anything. This investment can literally come in terms of time, effort, and education through your own voluntary, sort of investment in yourself. So yes, I think that's what I would say. This is similar to any industry, but yeah, the network though turns out to be, I think it is a very small industry irrespective. Like, so it's amazing that you always get to know, or somebody or one direction that you can sort of take when you're trying to explore something different. So yeah, the network is extremely important, and invest in yourself.
Okay. And someone asks, what should I do differently that I can also be in the Hall of Fame list? Natasha, we'll start with you.
Oh my gosh. Uh, what can I do differently? Okay, I think what really worked for me was that I used to genuinely care about my assignments. Like, I really cared about it. Like, um, be it a case study or any sort of a submission, including it when it was just the summary of the study tours and stuff like that. I would be the type who would, sort of take an effort to maybe make it a little more visual, a little more interactive. And that gave me a little bit of happiness. Okay, this is a very personal sort of thing. It's not a sure shot sort of way to make it to the Hall of Fame or anything. And it's difficult, right? Because it's based on, at the end of it, it comes down to sort of your CGPA and stuff like that. But I would say it's like, you can care as much as you want to, because we're under the influence of a lot of people when we are in college. Like, I always say this, irrespective of whatever situation you are in, sort of college is tough, but so are you. So don't sort of let that influence come in. Don't forget why you actually come to SCMC at the end of it, right? The academic experience is as important. So I would say, yeah, it's completely okay to sort of ridiculously care about something. Surprise yourself by how much more you can invest into some of these assignments and into some of the coursework. And I think you will see the difference.
That's nice. I'll try that now. And what about you, Tanya?
It's surprising, but I resonated a lot with
Of course.
actually be the success mantra, like, because even I'm a very visual person. And whenever I would submit any assignment, like, again, even if it's just a field trip summary, I would click pictures, kind of try to add them into the entire assignment. If it's a presentation, I'd work very hard on how it's looking, if it's structured properly. And again, I mean, it's okay to be obsessive about, doing it right, or like just being a perfectionist and like giving it out. I mean, just to give yourself the happiness, or just for your happiness. I mean, just do it. And just go with the flow. Like, just be consistent. You don't have to go out of your way and burn the midnight lamp and stuff. I mean, we were also equally involved in other co-curricular activities. We were not like buried in books. So just have fun and be consistent. Like, if an assignment is coming, take it seriously. If a fest is coming, do it like to the best of your abilities. If it's again a sport, just have fun. I mean, at the end of the day, when I look back, I can't really remember the times that I was actually sitting and studying or doing an assignment. But what I remember is the time that I spent at college or at the campus or with my friends or with a professor. Those are the things that you will carry with you. So just make the most of the experience, and you never know, magic can happen. I mean, things could work out for you.
Absolutely. Yes, that is definitely something that we must keep in mind. Okay. So the next question is, how does one grow professionally when working from home and not interacting much face-to-face? Tanya, we'll continue with you.
So, okay, that's an interesting question. because everyone's working from home. I think, again, a lot of ways of working has definitely changed for everybody. I mean, how they're interacting with their colleagues or their team members or their managers or their seniors. Things have changed dramatically, and so have the feedback processes as well. So obviously, the interaction is not a face-to-face interaction, but you would definitely continue to have like a one-on-one engagement. So again, when you're kind of talking to your managers, or if you're talking to someone in your team, you are just be open to kind of sharing feedback, because it definitely helps people. I mean, improve on. I mean, there's always a scope for improvement, right? So share feedback, learn more things. And I think, I mean, it's just a matter of time. I think once things hopefully start getting better, we'll all be back at work. But this is just a filler, and I don't think things are drastically changing. Be at it. And I mean, that's broadly it.
Okay, and what about you, Natasha?
Juhi, just so that I make sure that I'm answering this right, could you repeat the question for me one more time, please?
Of course, just a second. Yeah. How does one grow professionally when working from home and not interacting much face to face?
Got it. Okay. So the interacting part face to face, of course, has a massive social impact on you as well, right? In terms of sort of shaping your personality and otherwise. But almost everything else that's actually happening at a workplace can actually happen virtually. So, like I said before, take time out to sort of invest in yourself. Growth as a sort of definition is very different for different people. So even if that means that for the coming week, that you want to sort of stop working at a certain time, and you've sort you set that as a goal for yourself, no problem. Sort of pursue that if that's what you want, if that's what you'd like to do. And I've said this before. Focus on sort of upskilling. If there is something that inspires you, write it down somewhere and learn more about it. If there's something that you did not understand, if there is something that surprised you, I would say, put in the effort to learn a little more, irrespective of if this was a sort of physical setup or a remote working setup. It's very easy, to be honest, for a lot of people to find work from home becoming intrusive. And it has, I'm sure, at some point in time, given that it's been over a year and a half that most of us are sort of working from home, you do find it difficult. But evolving is and improvising is extremely important as you keep going, because otherwise you're just going to become a subset of the 5 people you spend most time with, and you hardly have 5. You hardly live with those many. So yeah, I would say invest in yourself and keep evolving.
Absolutely. And we'll take our final question for the day, which is again very interesting. If you could go back to your SCMC days, would you like to do something differently or change anything? Natasha, we'll start with you.
I know I said it earlier that I wouldn't like to sort of change anything, but
is there something additional that you would like to do?
I would actually like to be a part of the clubs that I was wondering, like, for example, like there were photography clubs, and I think there was a music club and stuff like that. That was quite interesting, but I was so concerned about my general skill set. And at that time I was so concerned about it. So although I was literally a part of every fest for us, Madhyam and Vavidya was such a sort of big deal, right? We absolutely loved those fests. So if anything, I would literally say that I'd like to do more, and I'd like to sort of attend more clubs and spend time doing that a lot more. But nothing that I would fundamentally change in this journey, because it pretty much shaped my story so far, and I'm sure it's going to have its impact on what comes next. So yeah.
That's great to hear. And what about you, Tanya?
I think, I mean, very similar opinion on this. I don't think I would change a lot. Like, I think definitely there are no regrets, because I really think you regret the things that you didn't do. And thankfully, we were so involved in multiple things. But definitely, like, when you kind of enter as a first year student, you are so, I mean, you are exposed to so many people who are so good at like things that they do. They're just exceptional people. And I mean, you may not be as good as one thing at one thing, and you may be good at some other things, right? So there's again that fear that, okay, what if I'm not as good? And maybe that was again the reason that even I never participated in like music events and like Vaidya and dance and all that. It's just a lot of fun, but I think that's something that I missed. And I definitely want to kind of go back and do some of those things.
So Juhi, I
That's
don't know
great.
if I don't know if all the batches actually do this or not, but I would actually say like literally get together for half an hour in the week where you have no agenda, like in terms of, you know, if it's a coursework or some sort of assignment or, you know, a lecture or something like that, just keep all of it aside and just like literally, even if it means talking about your day, right? Because all of these things are so special, and this somewhere I think would replicate a little bit of that walk around the fifth and the sixth floor. I don't know, because a lot of my inspirations for my assignments came from interacting with people from the other specializations actually, and they helped us in some of our final submissions and stuff like that. So that collaboration aspect, I would say, you know, like put in a little effort to literally just come together as a batch, even if it's in smaller groups with not like a very specified agenda. And I'm sure like there will be magic that happens.
I'm sure, and that's a great idea. And I'll definitely work towards it with my batch and the batch above me and, you know, my juniors. And that is definitely something we all must try. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so with this, we come to the end of this session. We have a ton of questions still coming in, but we have to limit ourselves here because of the time limit. But hopefully they all can contact you outside of this forum and take your guidance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Natasha and Tanya, for taking out your time and sharing your experiences with us. It was an extremely, extremely insightful session. And I'm sure it gave us a good look into the ground base of the industry.
Thanks,
Thank
Juhi,
you.
and thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Really happy to be back.
Had a great time.
I had a great time too. Thank you so much. And I relived my college experience, which is, just the 8 months that I had with yours, which was long ago. So that was really interesting for me as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And I would also like to take this moment to thank all the participants for attending this session. And we look forward to having many more sessions with you. Thank you and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.